Jax's revenge domain. Boss fired me at 2 a.m. Get off my site. I took road closed signs, steel bridge, nearly collapsed. The sound of a welding torch at 2 in the morning cuts through everything. The highway noise, your thoughts, even your bones. It's a sharp electric hiss that means someone's joining steel that'll hold up tons of traffic for the next 50 years. To most people, night construction sounds like inconvenience. To me, Mason Crawford, 47 years old with 22 years building the safest bridges in the state, it sounded like my family's lives depending on getting this right. I'm not being dramatic. My wife Diana drives this route to the hospital every morning at 6:30 a.m. My daughter takes the school bus underneath this overpass twice daily. When you're welding structural steel 40 feet above a busy intersection, it's not just a job, it's personal. I checked my watch through my safety glasses. 2:14 a.m. The railroad bridge reconstruction was on a brutal timeline. Norfolk Southern gave us a 12-hour window, 8 p.m. to 8 a.m., to replace the main support beams. By morning rush hour, trains carrying hazardous chemicals would be rolling over our work at 60 mph. "Looking clean on beam 7, Mason," Cameron Reed shouted over the noise. The kid was 22, my newest certified welder, treating every joint like it was going to hold up the world, which, in a way, it was. He'd been working double shifts to save for his wedding next month. I walked the scaffold, inspecting the massive I-beams we'd hoisted into position. Each weld had to be perfect. In bridge work, there's no such thing as good enough. A failed weld meant a collapsed span, and a collapsed span meant derailed train cars full of propane and chlorine gas raining down on the morning commuters below. "Nicole, how are we looking on the inspection schedule?" I keyed my radio to our night dispatcher. "X-ray truck should be here by 4 a.m., Nicole Brooks responded, her voice steady despite the late hour. "But Mason, heads up, you got company." Black SUV just pulled through the checkpoint. My stomach dropped. Only one person showed up in a pristine SUV at a muddy railroad bridge site at 2 a.m. Spencer Walsh, the new VP of Operations. He was 30 years old, had an MBA, and happened to be the owner's son. Spencer thought steel welded itself if you asked nicely, and wore $1,000 suits to inspect work sites. The SUV's headlights swept across our work platform as it pulled up to the crane. Spencer stepped out, dressed in his usual costume, designer jacket over a polo shirt, some business casual look that screamed, "I've never held a torch in my life." "Crawford!" he barked, not bothering with pleasantries. He picked his way carefully across the gravel, trying not to muddy his Italian loafers. "Why are we behind schedule?" "The X-ray inspection should have been done yesterday." I pulled off my welding helmet. "Had to redo welds on beam 6, Spencer." Cameron caught some porosity in the root pass during visual inspection. "We burned it out and re-welded." "It'll pass X-ray now. You re-welded an entire beam?" Spencer's eyes bulged. "Do you have any idea what that costs? That's $8,000 in labor and materials down the drain." "It was a bad weld, Spencer. Porosity means gas bubbles in the joint. Under load, those bubbles turn into cracks. Cracks turn into fractures. You want a train derailing over Route 15 during morning rush hour? I want this project finished on budget and on time," he snapped, waving dismissively at our work. "Dad put me in charge to stop the cost overruns. We're burning money on unnecessary inspections and perfectionist nonsense." The crew had stopped working. The sudden silence of the welding equipment made Spencer's voice carry across the bridge. Cameron was watching from his position on beam 7, torch idle in his hand. "It's not perfectionist," I said, keeping my voice level. "It's structural engineering. These welds have to hold 240,000 pounds of locomotive plus cargo. We don't guess, we verify." Spencer stepped closer, invading my space. The smell of expensive cologne mixed oddly with the metallic tang of hot steel. "I didn't ask for an engineering lecture. I'm telling you to skip the X-ray on the remaining joints. Visual inspection is enough. We need this bridge open by 6 a.m. to avoid penalty clauses." I looked at the fresh welds, still glowing dull red in the darkness. No. The word hung in the cold air like a challenge. In construction, you don't tell the VP no unless you're ready for war. But I'd been welding structural steel since Spencer was learning to tie his shoes. "Excuse me?" Spencer laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Did you just refuse a direct order?" I said no, I repeated, standing my ground. "This bridge carries passenger trains and freight trains over the busiest intersection in the county. Every morning at 7:15, the commuter train goes over carrying 300 people to downtown. My wife's on that train. My daughter's school bus goes underneath at 7:30. I'm not signing off on untested welds that could kill my own family. Spencer's face flushed red in the work lights. He looked around at the crew, Cameron, our crane operator Ryan, our inspector Oliver Hayes from the railroad, all of them watching to see who would blink first. "You think 22 years makes you untouchable?" Spencer hissed. "You're a dinosaur, Crawford. Overpaid, overcautious, and holding up progress. This is the modern economy. We optimize. We don't waste money on unnecessary testing. I'm thorough," I corrected. "And your father knows exactly how I work. Built half the bridges in this state using these same standards. Dad's in Florida playing golf," Spencer snapped. "I'm running operations now, and I'm telling you, skip the x-rays, open the bridge at 6 a.m., or I'll find someone who understands efficiency." I looked at the steel framework around us. Tons of metal suspended over a highway where thousands of people would drive in a few hours. Where my family would drive, I won't do. I said quietly. And I won't let any of my crew do it either. We x-ray every joint or this bridge doesn't open. Period. Spencer stared at me for a long moment. I could see the calculation in his eyes. This wasn't about the bridge anymore. This was about power, about showing everyone on site who was in charge. "Give me your radio," he said finally. "What?" "Your radio, your inspector credentials, and the keys to the site trailer." He held out his hand, palm up. "You're fired, Mason Crawford. Effective immediately. Get off my site." The shock hit me like a physical blow. Fired? For doing my job right? You can't fire the chief inspector in the middle of a bridge reconstruction. I just did. Insubordination, gross incompetence, refusing to follow direct orders. He was enjoying this now. "I'll have legal draw up the paperwork in the morning. Now hand over your gear and get out before I call security and have you arrested for trespassing." I looked at Cameron. The kid's face had gone pale under his hard hat. He started to step forward, maybe to defend me, but I shook my head slightly. If Cameron spoke up, Spencer would fire him too, and the kid needed this job for his wedding. Slowly, deliberately, I unclipped the radio from my vest and placed it in Spencer's manicured hand. Then I pulled out my inspector credentials and the master keys to the equipment trailer. "This is a mistake, Spencer," I said, my voice shaking with suppressed rage. "You have no idea what you're doing. I'm saving this company money and meeting our contractual obligations," he sneered. "Now get your personal stuff and get out. I don't want to see your face on this bridge again." "My personal stuff?" I asked. "Anything that belongs to you personally. Tools, lunchbox, whatever. If it's not company property, take it with you. I don't want you coming back tomorrow claiming we stole something." He turned away from me and started walking toward Cameron, ready to start barking orders at my crew. "You, kid, get that torch moving faster. We're opening this bridge at 6 a.m. sharp, x-rays or no x-rays." I stood there for a moment, listening to the distant rumble of late-night traffic on Route 15 below. The injustice burned in my chest like molten steel. I'd given this company everything, my back, my weekends, my expertise, and this spoiled brat was throwing me aside like a defective weld. "Anything that belongs to me," I muttered under my breath. I walked to my personal pickup truck parked beside the crane. But as I opened the door, my eyes drifted to something Spencer had clearly never bothered to understand about this job site. The safety perimeter wasn't just there by magic. 3 years ago, when Henry Walsh was cutting costs across all departments, he'd outsourced the traffic safety contracting to a separate LLC. "Smart tax move," he'd said. The company would rent safety equipment instead of buying it. Guess who owned that LLC? Me. Mason Crawford Safety Solutions. I looked at the array of equipment protecting this work zone. The flashing arrow boards directing traffic away from our bridge work. The road closed. Bridge work signs blocking both directions of Route 15. The 200 traffic cones creating a safety buffer around our crane operations. Most importantly, the electronic message boards warning drivers about the 15 mph speed restriction under the bridge. Spencer had no idea that every single piece of that safety equipment belonged to me personally. The rental contract had expired last Friday. I'd planned to renew it Monday morning, routine paperwork. But Spencer had just ordered me to remove all my personal property immediately. Technically, right now, the State Highway Department and Norfolk Southern Railroad were using my equipment without authorization, and Spencer had just given me a direct order to collect my property and leave. I pulled out my phone and called Nicole at dispatch. "Mason, what the hell is happening?" Spencer's on the radio screaming. "About efficiency and cost cutting," she whispered. "I'm out, Nicole. He fired me." "He what? At 2 a.m.? In the middle of a bridge reconstruction? Is he insane?" "Might as well be. Listen, I need you to log this call. Timestamp 2:28 a.m. I am leaving the site per direct orders from VP Operations. He instructed me to remove all personal property immediately." There was a pause. Nicole had been with the company for 15 years. She knew how these contracts worked. "Mason, didn't the safety equipment rental expire last week?" "Friday at midnight. Renewal paperwork sitting on my desk at home, unsigned. Technically, every sign, every cone, every arrow board out there belongs to Mason Crawford Safety Solutions. And I've just been ordered to collect my property immediately." I could hear Nicole thinking through the implications. "Mason, if you take that equipment, I'd be following a direct order from the VP of Operations. Can't leave my expensive equipment on a site I'm no longer authorized to be on. That'd be liability I can't afford." "You're a dangerous man, Mason Crawford," she said, and I could hear the grin in her voice. "I'm logging this conversation. Timestamp 2:29 a.m. Site supervisor dismissed. Ordered to remove personal property per VP directive. Thanks, Nicole. And tell Cameron I'm sorry he has to deal with this mess." I hung up and climbed back out of my truck. The wind from passing traffic 40 feet below whipped around the bridge structure. Working around live traffic was always dangerous, but I'd been setting up and tearing down safety zones for over 2 decades. I started with the electronic message boards. These were the expensive units, $15,000 each, solar-powered with LED displays warning drivers about construction zones ahead. There were 4 of them positioned at quarter-mile intervals on Route 15, flashing "bridge work ahead, reduce speed to 15 mph." The first one was easy. I disconnected the power, folded the support legs, and loaded it into my truck bed, with the hydraulic crane I'd installed for exactly this purpose. The second one took longer. It was positioned right at the bridge approach where Spencer would see me if he looked back. But Spencer was too busy intimidating Cameron to notice. I could see him pointing aggressively at the steel beams, probably ordering the kid to weld without proper inspection procedures. Cameron looked miserable, but he was following orders. Kid couldn't afford to lose this job. The third message board was the critical one. Positioned southbound just before the bridge approach, it was the last warning drivers got before entering our work zone. Without it, drivers would hit the bridge area at full highway speed, 55 mph instead of the required 15 mph restriction. As I disconnected the cables, I thought about the physics of what I was doing. A car hitting our crane outriggers at 55 mph wouldn't just damage equipment. The impact could destabilize the crane while it was supporting 20 tons of steel beam directly over Route 15. The beam would come down like a giant sledgehammer onto whatever traffic happened to be passing underneath. But Spencer wanted efficiency. He wanted to cut costs and skip safety procedures. He was about to learn exactly why those procedures existed. I loaded the 4th message board and started on the arrow boards. These were the large flashing units that guided traffic around our work zone, creating a smooth merge pattern so cars wouldn't have to brake suddenly or swerve at the last second. Without them, the lane closure would be invisible until drivers were right on top of it. In the dark, with tired drivers coming off the night shift, that was a recipe for disaster. I worked methodically, professionally. Each piece of equipment got properly disconnected and secured in my truck. I wasn't vandalizing anything or creating an immediate hazard. I was simply collecting my property as ordered by the VP of Operations. The last items were the road closure signs themselves, the big orange and white barricades that actually blocked traffic from entering our work zone. These were positioned at both ends of the bridge, creating a complete closure of Route 15 while we worked overhead. As I loaded the northbound closure sign, I caught sight of Spencer in my peripheral vision. He was still focused on the bridge work, probably calculating how much money he thought he was saving by skipping the X-ray inspections. He had no idea that his cost-cutting had just removed every piece of safety equipment protecting his project. I threw the last barricade into my truck and secured the tailgate. The bed was packed tight with reflective orange and yellow equipment. 22 years of safety expertise, reduced to a truck full of warning signs that were no longer warning anyone. I climbed into the cab and started the engine. The diesel rumbled to life, a comforting sound after the tension of the last hour. I looked back one more time at the bridge work. Without the message boards and arrow signs, the construction zone was nearly invisible from the road. Just dark steel beams silhouetted against the night sky, suspended over a busy intersection where my family and hundreds of other families would be driving in a few hours. "Hope you saved enough money to cover what's coming, Spencer," I said to myself. I put the truck in gear and drove away into the darkness, leaving the bridge completely unprotected against the morning rush hour. I pulled into my driveway at 3:22 a.m. The house was dark except for the porch light Diana always left on for me during night shifts. My hands were still gripping the steering wheel, knuckles white from the adrenaline that had carried me through the last hour. In the rearview mirror, my truck bed glowed orange under the streetlight, packed with thousands of dollars worth of safety equipment that should have been protecting a bridge construction zone right now. The front door opened before I even got out of the truck. Diana appeared in her robe, squinting at the unusual cargo in the back of my pickup. "Mason?" Her voice was sharp with concern. "Why is all the safety gear in the truck? Did something happen at the site?" I climbed out slowly, feeling every one of my 47 years in my joints. Something happened all right. I got fired. Fired? At 3 in the morning? In the middle of a bridge reconstruction? She stepped closer, studying my face. "Who fires someone at 3 a.m.? Spencer Walsh. Wanted me to skip X-ray inspections on the steel welds. Opened the bridge at 6 a.m. without proper testing." I gestured toward the truck. I refused. He took my badge and ordered me to remove all my personal property immediately. So I did. Diana looked at the truck, then back at me. The realization hit her slowly, like watching a crack spread through glass. "Mason, that's all the safety equipment for Route 15. If it's here, then it's not protecting the bridge work," I finished. Exactly. She wasn't angry. Diana worked in hospital administration. She knew what it was like dealing with bureaucrats who made life and death decisions from behind desks. But I could see the worry in her eyes. "Is this legal?" Equipment rental contract expired Friday. Spencer ordered me to collect my property. I was just following the VP's direct instructions. I pulled out my phone. "But I need to call our lawyer. This is going to get messy fast." We didn't sleep. I sat in my recliner with coffee, watching the local news with volume low while Diana reviewed the safety equipment contracts on her laptop. Every few minutes I checked the clock. 4:30 a.m., 5:00 a.m. Morning shift change at the hospital. Diana would normally be getting ready for work now, driving right under that bridge. "I called in sick," she said, reading my thoughts. "I'm not going anywhere near Route 15 today." At 5:45 a.m., the morning traffic report came on. "Looking good on most routes this Tuesday morning," the cheerful reporter announced. Some continued. Bridge work on Route 15, but crews should have that wrapped up soon. We're not seeing any major delays yet. Yet, I muttered, taking another sip of coffee. At 6:15 a.m., everything changed. "We're getting breaking news from Route 15, the news anchor said, her cheerful demeanor evaporating. "We're receiving reports of a serious traffic incident involving the bridge construction zone. We're going live to our traffic helicopter." The screen switched to an aerial view that made my blood run cold. Without the electronic message boards warning drivers to slow down, without the arrow boards guiding traffic away from the work zone, the morning rush hour had hit Spencer's bridge project like a freight train. The first incident was a pickup truck that had slammed into the crane's outrigger at full highway speed. The impact had been so violent it sheared the truck's front end completely off. But worse, it had destabilized the crane while it was holding a 15-ton steel beam directly over the roadway. The beam hadn't fallen, but it was swaying sickeningly in the wind, held only by the crane's damaged boom. Emergency crews were frantically trying to evacuate traffic from underneath while the crane operator fought to maintain control. But that wasn't the worst of it. Behind the first accident, without proper warning signs, a chain reaction had developed. Cars swerving at the last second to avoid the work zone. A school bus, not my daughter's, thank God, but someone's children, had jackknifed trying to avoid a sedan that had braked hard upon suddenly discovering the lane closure. The helicopter camera zoomed in on Spencer, and I could see him running frantically between emergency responders, gesturing wildly at the damaged crane. His expensive suit was torn and dirty. He looked like a man whose world was collapsing around him. "Diana," I said quietly, "look at beam 7. The one Cameron was working on." She squinted at the screen. What am I looking for? The weld joint. Weld. See that dark line running along the bottom flange? Yeah, that's not supposed to be there. That's a crack. The impact stress from the crane getting hit. I leaned forward, studying the image. The weld failed. Spencer made them skip the X-ray testing, and now the joint's failing under load. My phone rang. Oliver Hayes from the state inspector's office. Mason, please tell me you're watching the news. Watching it. I need you to get down here, now. We've got a structural failure in progress, and you're the only one who knows exactly what corners were cut last night. Spencer fired me, Oliver. I'm not authorized to be on that site. I'm authorizing you. Emergency powers, this is now a state safety investigation, and I'm deputizing you as a consulting engineer. Get down here before that beam comes down on someone. I looked at Diana. She was already grabbing my jacket from the closet. Go, she said. Those are real people under that steel. 20 minutes later, I was back at the bridge, but everything had changed. State police had shut down Route 15 in both directions. Emergency crews were setting up a safety perimeter around the damaged crane. The steel beam was definitely sagging now, stress fractures visible even from the ground. Oliver Hayes met me at the police line. How bad is it? Bad. That's beam 7, main load-bearing support for the center span. If it falls, it takes the whole bridge structure with it. We're talking about a 200-foot section of railroad bridge collapsing onto Route 15. Can we stabilize it? I studied the situation through binoculars. Cameron was still up on the scaffold, trying to weld temporary support brackets while the beam swayed overhead. The kid was risking his life to fix Spencer's cost-cutting disaster. Maybe, but we need to get everyone out from underneath first. If that weld lets go completely, how long do we have? I looked at the crack pattern spreading along the beam. The way that fracture's propagating, maybe an hour, maybe less. Oliver keyed his radio. This is State Inspector Hayes. I need a full evacuation of Route 15 from mile marker 23 to mile marker 27. Close the railroad line. Stop all train traffic on the Norfolk Southern line until further notice. Copy that. What's our situation? We've got a bridge that's about to collapse onto the highway, and it's all because someone decided safety inspections were too expensive. I watched Spencer talking frantically into his phone, probably calling his father. He kept pointing at the damaged crane as if that would somehow make the problem go away. He had no idea that the real problem wasn't the accident. It was the systematic corner cutting that had made the accident catastrophic. Oliver, I said, you need to see something. That weld failure? It's not from the crane impact. Look at the fracture pattern. Oliver followed my gaze through the binoculars, studying the crack pattern in the steel beam. What he saw made him go pale. That fracture didn't start from the crane impact, I explained. Look at the origin point. It's right at the weld joint Cameron was working on. The crack started from inside the weld itself. That's a classic sign of incomplete fusion. What happens when you rush the welding process and don't let the joint cool properly between passes? You're saying the weld was already defective? I'm saying Spencer ordered Cameron to weld faster than safe procedures allow. No cooling time, no proper inspection, no X-ray testing. That joint was a time bomb waiting for the right stress to set it off. Oliver keyed his radio again. I need a forensic metallurgy team up here immediately. And get me someone from the DA's office. This isn't just an accident anymore. We worked through the morning stabilizing the bridge. It took 3 crane trucks and a team of structural engineers, but by noon we had temporary supports in place and the immediate danger was over. The railroad line would stay closed for weeks while the entire span was rebuilt, and Route 15 would be down to 1 lane for months. The final damage tally was staggering. The crane itself was a total loss, $800,000. The damaged steel beams would have to be scrapped and replaced. Another $400,000. The lawsuit from the truck driver who hit the outrigger, his medical bills alone would top $200,000. The railroad was talking about $2 million in lost revenue from the line closure. But that wasn't the end of Spencer's problems. The forensic investigation Oliver ordered turned up something that made my blood run cold. When the metallurgy team X-rayed the remaining weld joints, the ones Spencer hadn't wanted to test, they found that over 60% of them had serious defects. Porosity, incomplete fusion, slag inclusions. The entire bridge structure was compromised. It's not just rushing the work, I explained to the district attorney when she arrived that afternoon. Spencer was using substandard welding rods. Look at these chemical analysis reports. She studied the paperwork. I don't understand the technical details. Explain it in simple terms. Welding rods are like the glue that holds steel together. Spencer bought cheap ones, probably saved $15,000 on the whole project. But those rods don't have the right metallurgy for structural work. Even with perfect technique, the welds would fail within 2 years. With rushed work, they're failing right now. So he knowingly used defective materials? Worse, he falsified the material certifications. See this signature on the inspection report? That's my signature, but I never signed this. I was fired before I could inspect anything. The DA's eyes hardened. Document forgery, criminal negligence, fraud. She looked at the bridge where emergency crews were still working. If that beam had fallen during rush hour, 300 people on the morning train plus whatever traffic was underneath, could have been the deadliest bridge collapse in state history. The investigation expanded quickly. Oliver's team found purchasing records showing Spencer had created shell companies to buy substandard materials while billing for premium grades. Cheap welding rods, recycled steel, even counterfeit structural bolts. He'd skimmed nearly $500,000 from the bridge project alone, but the smoking gun was something I discovered in the site trailer. Spencer's laptop, which he'd abandoned during the emergency, contained emails to a fabrication company in Mexico discussing cost-effective alternatives to expensive American steel specifications. He was planning to substitute the main support beams too, I told Oliver as we reviewed the emails. Look at this thread. He wanted to use grade 36 steel instead of the specified grade 50. The weight difference alone would have been catastrophic. How catastrophic? I did the math on my calculator. A fully loaded freight train weighs about 12,000 tons. Grade 36 steel has about 60% the strength of grade 50. The first heavy train over this bridge would have brought down the whole structure. The trial was 8 months later. Spencer had tried to flee the country but was arrested at the airport with a suitcase full of cash and a one-way ticket to the Cayman Islands. His defense team argued he was just trying to modernize outdated safety procedures, but the evidence was overwhelming. I spent 3 days on the witness stand walking the jury through every corner Spencer had cut. The forged signatures, the substandard materials, the rushed welding procedures. Most importantly, I explained what would have happened if the bridge had opened as scheduled. Ladies and gentlemen, I said, looking directly at the jury. At 7:15 every morning, the commuter train carries 300 passengers over this bridge. My wife Diana is one of those passengers. She's been taking that train to work for 8 years. At 7:30, school buses start their routes underneath the bridge. My daughter Emma rides one of those buses. I pointed to the evidence. Photos showing the cracked steel beam. If Mr. Walsh's cost-cutting hadn't been exposed, if this bridge had opened on schedule, that train and those buses would be using a structure that was designed to fail. The first heavy load would have brought down 200 feet of bridge onto Route 15 during morning rush hour. The prosecutor asked, in your professional opinion, what would the death toll have been? I'd thought about this question for months. Conservative estimate? 400 to 500 people. The train passengers, the school children, the commuters underneath. It would have been the worst transportation disaster in state history. The jury deliberated for less than 4 hours. Guilty on all counts. Spencer got 18 years in federal prison, no possibility of parole for the first 12. Henry Walsh, Spencer's father, sold the company rather than try to rebuild its reputation. He personally paid for all the medical bills from the crane accident and established a $5 million fund for bridge safety research. The new owners offered me the position of chief safety director for the entire company at twice my previous salary. But more importantly, they instituted a policy that no safety inspection could ever be overruled by management for cost reasons. I kept the newspaper clipping from Spencer's sentencing on my office wall. Not out of spite, but as a reminder. The headline read, "Bridge Safety Whistleblower Saves Hundreds of Lives." But the real satisfaction came 6 months later when the new bridge finally opened. I was standing on the platform with Oliver Hayes watching the first commuter train cross the new structure. Every weld had been x-rayed, every bolt had been inspected, every safety protocol had been followed to the letter. At 7:15 a.m. exactly, the train rolled smoothly across our work. Through the windows, I could see Diana in her usual seat, reading her morning paper. She looked up and waved at me, knowing I'd be watching. At 7:30, the school buses started their routes underneath. Emma's bus was third in line, yellow and safe and exactly where it belonged. That morning, as I watched my family and 300 other families cross that bridge safely, I realized something. Taking those safety signs hadn't been revenge. It had been the most important thing I'd ever done in my career. Spencer had wanted to save money by cutting corners. Instead, he'd built himself a prison sentence and exposed a level of corruption that could have killed hundreds of people. Sometimes the destruction you cause reveals the only thing that saves the truth. The bridge stands today, solid and safe, carrying trains and protecting the families who drive underneath. Every morning at 7:15, Diana crosses over. Every afternoon at 3:30, Emma passes below. And every single weld in that structure was tested, inspected, and certified safe by someone who understood that when you're building bridges, there's no such thing as good enough. Some people build bridges, other people cross them. But the real satisfaction comes from knowing that everyone who crosses your bridge makes it safely to the other side. That's the only measure of success that matters. Sometimes the most destructive thing you can do is follow orders exactly as given, especially when those orders come from people who don't understand the consequences of their own words. The difference between revenge and justice is simple. Revenge is about making someone pay for what they did to you, but justice is about making sure they can't do it to anyone else.